They tell us peace is coming. They fly our leaders across the ocean. They shake hands under foreign flags and they call it progress. But the people on the ground, the ones in Goma, in Bunagana, in Rubavu, are still waiting for peace. They're still waiting to see what peace feels like. Today we unpack the Washington Accord, a deal between Rwanda and Congo brokered by offshore agendas. And we ask, is this really peace or just another blueprint for control? So, what is the Washington Accord? On June 27, 2025, in Washington, D.C., the governments of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC, and Rwanda signed a bilateral peace framework. It was intended to halt decades of conflict, and when I say decades, I mean decades of conflict, especially in Congo's east, and de-escalate the military tension fueled by militia activity and cross-border accusations. But this wasn't Africa-led, right? This wasn't an Africa-led summit. It was facilitated by the United States and Qatar, two powerful offshore agendas with growing economic and strategic interests in Central Africa. So we ask, why now? Why them? And what's in it for us? Why were Congo and Rwanda fighting in the first place? This conflict is not new, everyone. It has roots in history, economics, and external interference. At its core, the tension is about the control of mineral-rich territories, the presence of armed militia like M23 and FDLR, and decades of regional mistrust worsened by foreign meddling. The DRC accuses Rwanda of backing M23. The DRC accuses Rwanda of backing M23, a Tutsi-dominated rebel group destabilizing the North Kivu region. Rwanda claims the DRC harbors FDLR fighters, remnants of the genocidal forces from 1994 who threaten Rwanda and their national security. Now, each country denies direct influence or involvement with these groups, yet both continue to suffer the fallout of ungoverned spaces, ethnic tension, and proxy warfare. So, let's understand the militias and basically let's simplify this. M23 is an armed rebel movement mostly composed of Congolese Tutsis, and it claims to defend ethnic minorities in the DRC but is widely accused of violence, looting, and war crimes. The FDLR, which is the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, consists of fighters who fled Rwanda after the genocide. Rwanda sees them as terrorists or as a terrorist threat, even though they operate in Congo. The presence of these two groups has kept the region in a cycle of violence and retaliation, often exacerbated by foreign interests supplying arms, surveillance tools, and intelligence. What is the Washington Accord and what does it actually say? Well, the Washington Accord, 5 key commitments. 1. The mutual disarmament of M23 and FDLR. 2. They want joint border security. Rwanda and Congo will create a shared surveillance and response framework. And 3. Respect for sovereignty. Both nations reaffirm commitment to territorial integrity, but nothing has been done so far. 4. They also want the safe return of refugees. Citizens displaced by conflicts, right? They must be protected and reintegrated into the society. And 5. Regional stability support. They want international actors to assist in monitoring and implementing the agreement, likely through UN channels or maybe the AU observers. It sounds promising, right? But here is the question. Who monitors the monitors? And who ensures African priorities are not overridden by offshore business interests? Also, why now? The world ignored Congo's cries for decades. So why is it happening now? Why is this happening at this moment? Because today, Congo holds the key to the global economy. It has over 60% of the world's cobalt, coltan, which is used for smartphones, copper for electric vehicles, and as global demand rises, so does foreign panic. Look, the fear is simple. If this region remains unstable, offshore agendas lose control of supply chains. Fixing the fire they helped start, they rush to put out just enough flames to protect their interests. Who are the brokers, right? Who are the brokers we're talking about, and why do they care? Well, let's name them, right? The United States through AFRICOM and USAID or USAID have spent years borders, embedding itself across the continent, right? The Congo-Rwanda conflict is a threat to U.S. supply chain security, particularly for cobalt. And Qatar, on the other hand, is positioning itself as a soft power diplomat while investing in mining, logistics, and finance sectors across Africa. Their involvement isn't free. They are strings, stakes, and silent contracts behind every smiling handshake. This isn't charity. It's geoeconomic strategy. We're being honest, the ghost of Libya still walks with us, right? To understand today's peace agreements, remember Libya 2011. And Gaddafi proposed a unified African currency. He also proposed a continental army and also proposed Africa being resource independent, right? When this happened, offshore agendas responded with military intervention. Libya was destroyed. Its gold disappeared and weapons flooded into Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Congo, which destabilized the entire Sahel. Peace deals today echo the same formula, right? They destroy sovereignty, offer controlled stability, and profit from the reconstruction. That is not peace. That is policy laundering, right? And this year we've had a warning in disguise, right? Just before the accord, General Michael Langley, right, the head of US AFRICOM, made a public statement, right? He said the Sahel is now a national security threat to the United States. He warned about terrorism, instability, and extremist networks. He called for greater American engagement, and suddenly we have a peace deal that hands foreign powers a louder voice in Central Africa. Is that a coincidence or a coordinated rollout? What did Africa do to deserve it? We mined our lands with our hands. We built civilizations without satellites. We endured colonialism and rose again. But today our resources invite sabotage, our borders invite wars, our solutions get hijacked by offshore agendas, and this accord could have been brokered in Addis Ababa by the African Union with African elders, scholars, and stakeholders. Instead, it was drafted in Washington, backed by investors, and sold to the media as African progress. We don't need lectures in diplomacy. We need agency. We need continental unity without conditional peace, right? This is a call to action, not to our leaders, but to you, right? To you, the viewers in Africa, right? We must demand African-led mediation. If it's an African problem, the solution must come from African minds. We must decolonize our peace language and not let foreign PR redefine our crisis, right? We must use our words, frame our truth, name our conditions, right? We must also interrogate every agreement, search every nook and cranny, find out who wrote it, who benefits, what did we trade away, and we must center people, not just politics, until peace includes housing, schools, clean water, and justice, right? It's incomplete. It's incomplete. This is not about choosing sides. It's about choosing truth over theater, sovereignty over show, and long-term justice over short-term calm. Congo and Rwanda deserve peace, not performative diplomacy. Africa deserves progress, not offshore prescriptions. And our people deserve to know what's really behind the headlines. This is a network where we break down and tell it plain and never let the story end with their version. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, stay tuned, because when the cameras leave, we're still here, right? When the cameras are shut off, we're still here. Let me know when you're ready